Hello and welcome to another episode of TEW 2020 WWE. We are here on the go-home shows of Raw, NXT and Smackdown, heading into the Bragging Rights pay-per-view event, the Battle for Brand Supremacy, less than a week away, into the days now, and Raw, NXT and Smackdown all vying to win, all vying to be the best brand, all vying for that number one pick in the upcoming WWE draft. And Raw gets underway with Drake Maverick in his office making a big announcement. He says that him, William Regal and Paige have been talking and they have made a decision that affects the world and women's champions before their triple threat matches at Bragging Rights. He says tonight on Raw, Ember Moon and Adam Cole will both be in action, but he will not be picking their opponents. Ember Moon's opponent will be an NXT superstar picked by the NXT Women's Champion Becky Lynch, and Adam Cole's opponent will be a SmackDown superstar selected by SmackDown's Universal Champion Big E. He then says on NXT, Kross will face a Raw superstar picked by Adam Cole, and Becky Lynch will face a SmackDown superstar picked by Rhea Ripley, and on SmackDown, Big E will face an NXT superstar picked by Karrion Kross, and Rhea Ripley will face a Raw superstar picked by Ember Moon. For a 48, big announcement there from Drake Maverick. All the champions will be in action this week, all the champions getting the chance to build some momentum heading into Bragging Rights. And then the show gets underway. The first match this evening, a match has been building for quite a few weeks now. Bobby Lashley versus Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe making his return post SummerSlam, beating Ricochet, beating Cedric Alexander. It looked like he could have won in the Battle Royale, but he was taken out by Bobby Lashley's interference. Lashley, Alexander, Ricochet, of course, all under the management of MVP. So after Ricochet and Alexander were taken out, MVP recruiting Lashley to take Joe out, and now the big match, Bobby Lashley versus Samoa Joe, and in the end, Samoa Joe picks up the win, managing to lock Bobby Lashley into that coquina clutch, and Bobby Lashley fights and he claws and he tries, but in the end, he passes out. He doesn't tap, he passes out, and Samoa Joe picks up the win for a 73 here, 67 ratings from both men. MVP did some good work at ringside, as you'd expect. Happy with this, as Samoa Joe comes on top with his feud with the MVPs in the end. We then cut to a promo video by the United States Champion Kyle O'Reilly, showing him training very intensely with UE squad mates Bobby Fish and Roderick Strong. And Kyle does a little voiceover saying he watched NXT, he watched SmackDown, he sees Bullard and Lee focusing on each other, not taking him seriously. You know what, that's fine. He says he's used to people not taking him seriously, people looking at him as just another tag team guy, but he's more than that. Because right now, what Kyle O'Reilly is the United States Champion. What Kyle O'Reilly is the wrestling machine around here. Not Bullard, not Lee, it's Kyle O'Reilly. And come Bragging Rights, Lee and Bullard can underestimate him as much as they want, but in the end, it'll be Kyle O'Reilly who comes out on top and gets the bragging rights. For an 80, very good promo by Kyle O'Reilly here, sending a very clear message to his bragging rights opponents in the NXT North American Champion Keith Lee and Intercontinental Champion Thaddeus Bullard, who have been focusing largely on each other the past few weeks and ignoring Kyle O'Reilly, and Kyle O'Reilly doesn't sound too pleased with that, but we'll have to see how that match goes. Hopefully it'll be good. Hopefully the whole bragging rights card will be good, I have high hopes for it. And then before bragging rights, there's also going to be some more Raw NXT SmackDown matches involving the Tag Team Champions battle. Next up we have Drew McIntyre taking on Leon Ruff, Raw versus SmackDown. On NXT we will be having Sheamus take on Humberto Carrillo, Raw versus NXT. And on SmackDown we have NXT versus SmackDown. We have Santos Escobar taking on Lio Rush. And in this match, Drew McIntyre versus Leon Ruff, as you'd expect probably, Drew McIntyre picks up the win, brutalising Leon Ruff. Leon Ruff giving it a good goal, giving it all he's got, but in the end, Drew McIntyre does pick up the victory here for a 76. Good rating from these two, I'd say. Drew McIntyre largely carrying that with his 83 compared to Ruff's 44, but a 76 rating is a 76 rating, and I'll take that all day long, as Drew McIntyre picks up the win here. We then have the entrance of Raw's Women's World Champion, Ember Moon, for a 76. And she gets in the ring, she's waiting, and then Becky Lynch's music hits, and Becky Lynch comes out the NXT Women's Champion, and Becky Lynch says that if it was up to her, she'd just fight Ember Moon right now and kick her ass 7 ways to Sunday, so she doesn't even get to bragging rights, but she's been told she's not allowed to do that. She's been told she has to wait for bragging rights to beat Ember Moon, and she says, fine, okay. So then I was thinking about who to pick to fight you tonight, and I decided I'd pick someone I know can kick your ass as well. I know can give you all you got, because she made me use everything I had to beat her for this title at SummerSlam. So you will be facing Tegan Nox for an 86 here. Tegan Nox making her entrance for a 91. Tegan Nox, very impressive from her. Before we have the match, it's the Women's World Champion Ember Moon of Raw taking on NXT's former NXT Women's Champion Tegan Nox, and in the end, Ember Moon manages to pick up the win with the Eclipse for a 60. Tegan Nox giving it everything she has, showcasing her abilities on Raw, but Ember Moon, Women's World Champion, does manage to come out on top in the end. 59 from Ember Moon, 58 for Tegan Nox, not too bad from these two. Maybe hoped a little bit better, but I will take the 60 here from this, as afterwards we prepare for a contract signing segment. Out comes first NXT's men's team, Velveteen Dream, Cruiserweight Champion Andrade, Randy Orton, Chad Gable, and Team NXT's captain Aleister Black for an 85. They get in the ring, and they are followed by Team Smackdown, Austin Theory, Cesaro, Kofi Kingston, Montez Ford, and Johnny Gargano for an 87. Still a bit of tension as they get in the ring with Team NXT, of course. Team Smackdown beating Team NXT in a 3v3 match on SmackDown last week. Gargano making Chad Gable submit. And then finally entering is, of course, Team Raw. We have Pete Dunne, Seth Rollins, AJ Styles, the captain Tommaso Ciampa, and they are also joined by Timothy Thatcher, Tommaso Ciampa, with a mic in hand, saying that he thought about who was going to be the 5th member, and he doesn't like him. But Timothy Thatcher is a warrior. Timothy Thatcher knows how to fight, and that is what is important for this. And so the 5th member of Team Raw will be the man Tommaso Ciampa beat for that hardcore title at SummerSlam, Timothy Thatcher, and they make their way down to the ring for an 83. And then we have the contract signing segment, each team sending forward a representative, of course, to sit at the table and sign the contract. Team Raw's captain Ciampa taking a seat, Team NXT's captain Aleister Black taking a seat, and after some discussion, Team SmackDown sends forward Johnny Gargano, the man who made Chad Gable tap out, who got the win for Team SmackDown in that 3v3 match last week, to take a seat as well. Ciampa, Black, and Gargano, of course, all having history with each other on NXT as well, so it would be pretty apt that these 3 other captains of their respective brands here heading into bragging rights. And they do their verbal back and forth, and they all claim they're going to win, they all say they're going to win, they all say they're going to clean sweep it. And in the end, Ciampa, Black, and Gargano all signing the contracts before, probably as you'd expect, a bit of a mass brawl breaks out between the 3 teams. The security come down, but I mean, there's only so much they can do with 15 wrestlers in the ring, battling out, brawling all over, ringside, up the ramp, into the crowd. This match at bragging rights isn't going to be just a match, it's going to be a war between these 3 teams for an 85 here. Really good work. I have very high hopes for this 5v5v5 match at bragging rights, to be honest with you. Before we head into the main event, out comes the WWE Champion, Adam Cole, for an 85. And he's waiting in the ring when Biggie's music hit, and out comes the Universal Champion, Big E. And Big E has a big smile on his face. He's saying that he's been thinking about it. He's been mulling over about who to send to fight Adam Cole. And he's going to send down a man he trusts, maybe more than anyone, a man like a brother to him, a man who's shown he's willing to go to war with Raw already tonight. Yep, he is sending down to fight Adam Cole, his New Day brother, Kofi Kingston, for a 90. Kofi, a little bit banged up from that brawl, but ready to go, wanting to go for this match with Adam Cole, the WWE Champion. Adam Cole versus Kofi Kingston in the main event, and it's a great match. It's back and forth just for about 17 minutes, but in the end, Adam Cole manages to hit Kofi Kingston with the Panama Sunrise and pick up the win here for a 74. Not the match of the night. Second rating wise, sad. A bit a little bit disappointed segment rating-wise. Sadly, neither man had the psychology to take control properly, but I will take the 74 here for this main event, as Adam Cole does get the win, does get a little bit of momentum heading into bragging rights, beating not just a member of Smackdown, but beating Biggie's New Day brother Kofi Kingston. Then after that, Adam Cole celebrates. Adam Cole gets the cameraman right in to come in the ring. He gets right in the camera and he says, Biggie, Karrion, Kross, come bragging rights. Only one man is leaving with that. Only one man's leaving with bragging rights, and that's Adam Cole, baby. And that fact is simply undisputed. For an 89, good rating to end Raw on. Raw here, the Go Home episode of Raw here, getting an overall rating of 82. Still pretty good rating. Raw very consistently above 80, more so than NXT or SmackDown. NXT and SmackDown both hitting very highly rating-wise at the moment. Raw, the most consistent show overall, I'd say. Still, increased popping in 3 regions. I'm very happy with that. As Raw, as the build-up to bragging rights on Raw is over, and now to continue this week of go-home shows with the final episode heading into bragging rights of NXT. And then NXT getting underway here with a little video shown of the NXT champion Karrion Kross and the NXT women's champion Becky Lynch both arriving at the arena, both coming in. Kross and Lynch both in action later tonight. Karrion Kross facing an opponent from Raw of WWE champion Adam Cole's choosing, and Becky Lynch taking on an opponent from SmackDown of women's Universal champion Rhea Ripley's choosing. It's an 84 for this segment. Good start to the show before we head into another bit of action in the build-up to that tag team battle. The tag team champions battle with bragging rights. It's one half of the Cruiserweight tag team champions Humberto Carrillo taking on one half of the Raw tag team champions Sheamus. And Sheamus does pick up the win here in the end, hitting Humberto with the bro kick for a 64. 62 from Humberto, 66 from Sheamus. Good little match. Segment rating in the middle between those in-ring performances. No complaints here, as the Raw Tag Team Champions have won both of their singles match in the build-up. Sheamus and Drew, the Kelly Warriors, dominant as they have been since they've returned and formed this little group of theirs. We then have a little segment. It shows Chad Gable and Randy Orton training together. Randy Orton continuously locking Chad Gable into submissions, locking him into Boston Crabs, locking him into chokeholds, locking him in to that Gargano escape. Chad Gable trying to find ways out of them. Randy Orton showing that you tapping out against Johnny Gargano on SmackDown, that was unacceptable. We don't do that. If you want to get to the top, you need to learn to not give in, to not give up, to fight your way out. But their training session is interrupted by the Cruiserweight champion Andrade, still wearing that face mask from where he broke his nose a few weeks ago, and he is angry and he is annoyed. He's pissed off with Gable and Orton. He's had enough of them. And he says he wants a match with Randy Orton. He wants a match tonight with Randy Orton. Chad Gable kind of moves Randy out of the way and says, I've actually already spoken to William Regal, and you got a match tonight, Andrade, but it's not against Orton. It's against me. And it's for that Cruiserweight Championship. For an 88, big match announcement from Chad Gable. Andrade, maybe not happy about the title being on the line, but happy to be getting his hands on one of these two. He's had a lot of problems with of late. And these three are definitely going to need to get their issues sorted quickly, because obviously at bragging rights, they're going to be on the same team, joined by Aleister Black and the Velveteen Dream as well. So they need to get it sorted, and maybe this match is what they need to do just that. A very good segment between these two. Before we have the entrances of SmackDown's women's team, first of all, Captain Naomi, Alexa Bliss, $1 Million champion Bianca Belair, Queen of the Ring Charlotte Flair, and Liv Morgan for a 74, followed by the entrances of Raw's women's team, the Captain Sasha Banks, Asuka, Deonna Purrazzo, Io Shirai, and Kairi Sane for an 83, and then finally, of course, the entrance of NXT's women's team, the Captain Tegan Nox, Casey Catanzaro, Mickie James, Natalya, and Zelina Vega for a 63, and then we have the contract signing from this. Just like on Raw, the champions sitting down, their groups behind them, all laying out their battle plans, all saying they're going to come out on top. Quality-wise, if you look at the teams, you'd probably have to say that Raw has the best overall team of the three. You know, Sasha Banks, Asuka, Io Shirai, Kairi Sane, Deonna Purrazzo, 5 incredible talents. Then you'd probably say Smackdown, Naomi, Charlotte, Bianca, Alexa. Liv Morgan a bit younger, but still very talented. Whilst NXT, of all teams, has maybe the more experience with Mickie James and Natalya, as well as Zelina Vega, and the younger Casey Canstar and Tegan Nox. But Tegan Nox, former NXT Women's Champion, can't count her out, obviously. And 86 for this contract signing segment. Very good work from all involved. I think that both of the big team battles, the 5-on-5-on-5 matches, have the potential to be very good, so hopefully they'll do well rating-wise at bragging rights. Before we head into that earlier mentioned Cruiserweight Championship match between Andrade, the champion, and his opponent Chad Gable, and the two men go back and forth. They're both giving it everything they've got to come out as champ, and in the end, it looks like Chad Gable might just have it. He hits a big suplex on Andrade, and he hits another big suplex onto Andrade again. And it looks like Chad Gable might have it. He locks Andrade into the ankle lock. Andrade just about managing to get to the rope. Chad Gable lifting Andrade up, going for that kind of angle slam. Andrade dropping down onto his knees. Gable going to pick him up, Andrade ripping his mask off and smashing Chad Gable in the face with it, causing the disqualification. Chad Gable getting the win, but not winning the title for an 83 here. Very good match. Andrade with the 83, 77 from Chad Gable, both men doing well. As afterwards, Andrade and Santos Escobar go to try and beat down on Chad Gable when Randy Orton storms out. He clotheslines Andrade, he clotheslines Santos Escobar, he clotheslines Andrade out of the ring. Santos Escobar sneaking up behind Orton, trying to attack him, but Orton hitting him with an RKO out of nowhere, taking him out. And then staring down Andrade as Andrade retreats up the ramp with his Cruiserweight title before Orton checks on Gable for an 84 here. Andrade, Orton and Gable still not sorting out their problems fully heading into that tag match at bragging rights. And is that going to affect Team NXT? Is that going to cost NXT that men's tag team match? We will have to wait and find out. Next up we have the entrance of the NXT champion Karrion Kross, joined by Scarlett of course for an 88. And then on the Titantron appears Adam Cole, the WWE champion. And he says he's been racking his mind about who to send out to face Karrion Kross. And he says that he might not like him, but you can't deny his talent, his in-ring ability. And so the man who will be taking on Karrion Kross is Daniel Bryan for an 89 here. Huge announcement from Adam Cole. And so next up, in a match that will hopefully be really, really good, is the NXT champion Karrion Kross taking on Daniel Bryan. And both men giving it everything you've got, as you'd expect. Daniel Bryan doing incredible. Karrion Kross trying to brutalise him, but Daniel Bryan with that never give up attitude. But however, in the end, Karrion Kross manages to hit a Doomsday Saito off the top rope onto Bryan, onto that neck, taking out Bryan before picking up the pinfall victory. Karrion Kross comes out on top for an 87. What a match between these two. I didn't put it in the main event. I wanted to give Lynch that main event because she's done really well, but still, this could have been a very worthy main event with that rating, especially the 87 between these two. 85 from Kross, 79 from Bryan. God knows what Daniel Bryan's in-game stats are. I'll have to check that out. But what a match. As Karrion Kross comes out on top, and then after the match, Karrion Kross and Scarlett posing above the fallen Bryan. Kross raising that NXT title in the air, sending a clear message to his bragging rights opponents in Adam Cole and Biggie that he plans on coming out on top, standing victorious in the end for an 86 here on the post. Really good segment as well. Karrion Kross doing very good work as usual, proving himself a very worthy NXT champion, I'd say, with his constantly very high segment ratings. Before we head into the main event of this evening, coming out first, of course, we have the NXT Women's Champion Becky Lynch, the man, for an 87 here. And she's ready to fight anyone, as you'd expect of Becky Lynch, when Rhea Ripley appears on the Titantron, and Rhea Ripley says that she's been thinking about who to send to fight Becky Lynch. She's been racking her mind and her brain about it. And then she realised there was only one real choice, someone who she doesn't like. She has no love for, she doesn't care about, but in the end is a good competitor, in the end is a good wrestler, in the end gave Rhea Ripley the fight of her life at SummerSlam, in the end who is the queen of the ring. And so Becky Lynch tonight will be facing former best friend and long-time rival now, Charlotte Flair, for a 92. What a main event announced there by Ripley. It will be Becky Lynch, it will be the NXT Women's Champion Becky Lynch taking on Charlotte Flair here in the main event, and both women giving this everything that they've got. Neither woman wanting to lose to the other, both of them wanting to come out on top, both of them wanting to win this. But in the end here, the match descending into chaos as Becky Lynch is attacked by Naomi and Nia Jax. Team NXT charging out to save Becky, the rest of Team Raw of Team SmackDown charging out as well. A massive brawl ensuing ensuing between Team NXT and Team SmackDown 5v5. Becky Lynch managing to get out of the ring to keep herself as fresh as possible, heading into her triple threat match at Bragging Rights. 77 for the match, 87 from Lynch, 79 from Flair. Both women doing really, really well here for the main event. Becky Lynch with the in-ring performance of the night, I'm pretty sure. And then the show ending with that massive brawl from Team NXT and Team SmackDown for an 85 here. Good segment rating to end the show. Team NXT and Team SmackDown, especially in recent weeks, have seemed to be focusing a lot on each other, kind of ignoring Team Raw a bit. Maybe they'll play a part at Bragging Rights. Maybe Teams NXT and SmackDown will focus too much on each other, and Raw will be able to sneak a few victories to get the win at Bragging Rights, to get that #1 draft pick, to be the best brand around. But overall, we'll have to wait and see. And this go-home episode of NXT, overall getting an 84. Really good segment rating. If I'd switched the Kross and Bryan and Lynch and Charlotte Flair segments, overall rating probably would have been 86, 87 even. But I'll take the 84. I wanted to give Lynch that main event. Increase the popularity in 7 regions. I'm still very happy with that. Very good episode. A very good go-home episode of NXT here, I would say, heading into the Bragging Rights pay-per-view. And now time for the final show in the build-up to Bragging Rights. One final night's worth of action before the pay-per-view. It's time for Smackdown. And the final show in the build-up to Bragging Rights gets underway here, and we're heading straight into the big contract signings. Making their way out first is from representing Raw, of course, the WWE Champion Adam Cole and the Women's World Champion Ember Moon coming out for an 83, making their separate entrances. And then we have the entrances from NXT, the NXT Champion Karrion Kross and the NXT Women's Champion Becky Lynch, who make their way out for a 90. And then finally, representing SmackDown, of course, we have the Universal Champion Biggie and the Universal Women's Champion Rhea Ripley making their separate entrances as well for an 88. And then they all get seated. There's kind of 3 tables set up. So each brand has their own little table with their coloured cloth over it. They all go about arguing, all go about saying they're going to come out on top, that their brand's going to come out on top. They all sign the contracts. They're all ready for a fight. Paige, Maverick and Regal all there, all pointing out that there can be no fighting here. There can be no brawl. That everyone's got to save it for Sunday, only 2 days away, and then they can destroy each other as much as they want. In the end, them all going about. In the end, it not coming to blows, surprisingly, but clear animosity here, clear anger in this ring. An 83 for the contract signing. Very good start to the show here. Overall, I would say, as all the necessary contracts have been signed. And then we head into the first match this evening. We have Team SmackDown's captain and Team NXT's captain going head-to-head. It's Naomi versus Tegan Nox. Naomi attacking the NXT Women's Champion Becky Lynch on NXT a few days prior. Tegan Nox not happy, and so the two captains of NXT and SmackDown's women's teams going head-to-head here. And Tegan Nox picks up the win with the Welsh Destroyer in the end. Both of their teams at ringside, and Nia Jax and Naomi as well, of course, her women's tag team champion partner. But in the end, Tegan Nox manages to hit that Welsh Destroyer and pick up the victory here for the 76, 65 from Naomi, 71 from Tegan Nox. Doing very well here, the both of them, as Team NXT get the win, making their way up the ramp in celebration as a frustrated Team SmackDown looks on. We can go backstage. Kayla Braxton knocking on Thaddeus Bullard's locker room door, and Paul Heyman answering. Kayla Braxton posing the question of, what does Bullard think about what happened last week? Finn Balor defeating Apollo Crews, Thaddeus Bullard being taken out by Keith Lee. Paul Heyman goes to speak when Thaddeus Bullard slams the door open, and he says that he's done with talking. He's going to let his actions do that from now on. before slamming the door shut on Kayla for a 76 there. Bullard clearly unhappy about what happened last week. Before we head into the final match from the little series, heading into the tag title battle, it's Leo Rush taking on Legado's Santos Escobar. And Santos Escobar picks up the win in the end with the Phantom Driver for a 71. Good work from both of them. Escobar with a 67 and Rush with a 60. Doing well to get the 71, I'd say. Happy with that. Good match between these two. And then next up, we have the Women's Universal Champion, Rhea Ripley's entrance for a 91 here. And then Becky Lynch coming out onto the ramp, of course, backstage. And then Ember Moon coming out onto the ramp, obviously still here from that contract signing, and announcing that Rhea Ripley's opponent tonight will be Asuka. Asuka, the woman Ember Moon beat for that title. Ember Moon says that she knows no one better suited to give Rhea Ripley that challenge, to give her a battle tonight for an 87. And then the match itself, Rhea Ripley versus Asuka. In the end, Rhea Ripley managing to pick up the victory with the Riptide after about 15 minutes. A long match between these two. They get both giving it all they got, but Rhea Ripley gets the win for the 81. Asuka with the 81 in ring, 77 for Rhea Ripley. Both doing well here. Both they have good chemistry and it lifted the match. That is good to know. And then afterwards, Rhea Ripley helping Asuka to her feet. A show of respect between the two competitors here for an 83. Very good work. Very happy with this. All of the women's champions getting the wins this week. All of them building up their momentum for that huge triple threat match at Bragging Rights. Who's going to come out on top? Who knows? It will be good to see, though. I have high hopes for it. I have high hopes for the whole card, to be honest with you. I think Bragging Rights could and hopefully will do very, very well. We then have the entrance of the Universal Champion, Big E, for an 84, ready for his match. And then appearing on the Titan Drunkers, who can be asked to come out on the ramp, I guess, is the NXT Champion, Karrion Kross, with Lady Scarlet, of course. And then Karrion Kross announces that Big E will be taking on a man who, in recent weeks, has shown himself more than capable of taking out Smackdown superstars. Yes, it will be Big E versus Finn Balor for a 91. Finn Balor making his way out to the ring. Finn Balor on the run of his life at the moment, ever since he defeating The Fiend, defeating Damian Priest, defeating anyone who comes at him. And now getting a shot against the Universal Champion, Big E of SmackDown. The 91 for that segment, very good. And then the match itself, Big E and Finn Balor going at it. Both men wanting to win, both men wanting to come out on top here. Finn Balor wanting to prove himself against Big E, who has the belt that he was the inaugural champion. He held it before anyone else did. He had to give it up after a day. And wanting to prove that he can still go at that level. And towards the end of the match, Finn Balor is building some momentum when out of nowhere, Thaddeus Bullard appears with a Bullard's boot to Balor, taking him out. The disqualification called. Finn Balor getting the win over Big E here by DQ, but obviously not the win he was looking for. An 80 for the match, 87 from Big E, 83 from Balor. Sadly, a lack of psychology on display between the two. Probably brought that rating down, could have been mid-80s, but I'm happy. I'll take the 80s. Still good work from these two. Thaddeus Bullard after the match beating down on Finn Balor. Big E eventually getting to his feet and noticing and shoving Bullard off. Thaddeus Bullard and Big E squaring up when Apollo Crews runs in from behind, attacks Big E. Big E fighting Crews off, picking him up and hitting a big ending, standing up, taunting him, and then turning around into a Bullard boot of his own. And then Thaddeus Bullard picking up Big E slowly and hitting him with a Bullard bomb to the mat. Big E out of it for an 82. Thaddeus Bullard standing over him, and then Thaddeus Bullard goes over to the ring ropes and he shouts out to Paul Heyman to get the belt. Paul Heyman going to the ringside area and grabbing the Universal Championship, taking it to the ring and handing it to Thaddeus Bullard. Bullard grabbing the belt, looking down at it, smiling, walking over to the fallen Universal Champion here, Big E, and raising it in the air. And then Thaddeus Bullard dropping the title onto Big E, leaning down and telling him that he has 2 months left. 2 months as Universal Champion at max, because at Survivor Series, Thaddeus Bullard says he's coming for Big E and he's taking the Universal Championship. So don't worry about Adam Cole. Don't worry about Karrion Kross. Don't worry about anyone else. The only thing you should be thinking about is enjoying and savouring every last day you have as the Universal Champion, because I promise you, your days are numbered. For a 90 here, a big ending. Bullard sending a very clear message that bragging rights, Unicorn title, none of that. His mind is squarely still focused on getting to Survivor Series and activating his World Championship clause, vacating the Unicorn title, getting that Universal title match against Biggie, and winning the Universal Championship. Biggie left laid out on the mat, heading into that big match at bragging rights. Now he's got Bull in his mind as well. We'll have to pause the distraction. We'll have to wait and see. Overall, the go-home episode of Smackdown heading into bragging rights gets an 85. Really good show, a really good go-home week here, I'd say. Increased our popularity in 30 regions. No complaints from me. I'm very happy. And that is it for Smackdown. That is it for this episode. That is it for the build-up to bragging rights. Next episode will be the bragging rights pay-per-view. The Battle for Brand Supremacy. Raw versus NXT versus Smackdown. A little rundown on the card. We have the Raw Tag Team Champions, Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, the Celtic Warriors. We have NXT's Cruiserweight Tag Team Champions, Legado, Humberto Carrillo, and Santos Escobar, Legado. And we have SmackDown's Tag Team Champions, Leon Ruff and Lio Rush. We have the Battle of the Mid-Card Champions. We have the United States Champion Kyle O'Reilly, the NXT North American Champion Keith Lee, and the Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion of the World, Thaddeus Bullard. We have the big women's tag team match. We have Team Raw, the captain Sasha Banks, Asuka, Deonna Purrazzo, Io Shirai, and Kairi Sane. We have Team NXT, the captain Tegan Nox, Casey Catanzaro, Mickie James, Natalia, and Zelina Vega. And we have Team SmackDown. We have the captain Naomi, Alexa Bliss, the $1 Million Champion Bianca Belair, Queen of the Ring Charlotte Flair, and Liv Morgan. Huge match. And staying on that, we have the men's team battle, 5v5v5, Team Raw, Captain Tommaso Ciampa, AJ Styles, Pete Dunne, Seth Rollins, and Timothy Thatcher. We have Team NXT, captained by Aleister Black, along with Andrade, Chad Gable, Randy Orton, and the Velveteen Dream. And then we have Team SmackDown. No clear leader, but Johnny Gargano's kind of been pushed into that role, along with Austin Theory, Cesaro, Kofi Kingston, and Montez Ford. Both the women's and men tag team matches, a lot of big superstars in there. They could really go either way. I'm looking forward to them. And then we have two big triple threat matches. The Battle of the Women's Champions, the Women's World Champion representing Raw, Ember Moon, the NXT Women's Champion, Becky Lynch, and SmackDown's Universal Women's Champion, Rhea Ripley, all going to war. And then in the main event, we have representing Raw, the WWE Champion, Adam Cole. We have the NXT Champion, Karrion Kross, and representing SmackDown, the Universal Champion, Big E. It is a stacked card. It's a very small card as well, but it's stacked, I'd say. The battle for brand supremacy, mere days away. Who will get bragging rights? Who will get that #1 draft pick? We'll have to wait and see. If you've enjoyed this episode, the Go Home show's heading into it, and you're looking forward to bragging rights and beyond, then please like and subscribe for more, and thank you for watching.